Hello and welcome to the Copperhead Amateur Series for Season 5, Race 2 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, the Equifax 250. The series comes here after a long speed weeks, but it's finally time to go mile-and-a-half racing. Here's what qualifying looked like earlier today, as 65 entries took to the track to try to make a 10-car dual field and for this afternoon's main feature. In the first duel today, Jack Porkins took the start and cruised away right from the beginning, showing the power of those Avalon Chevrolets. Behind him, Dylan Parker in the number 4, but coming on the inside is the driver you want to notice, Ryan Kendall in the 16 car. This is one of the doubleheader races, one of the 6 that will be running this season, and Kendall is showing no wasted time getting to the front and showing that he wants to be a part of the main feature. Obviously, the Penzel Pro Series drivers are the main threats to make the field, but you can't forget about some of the other Copperhead Amateur Series drivers trying to mingle in there as well. This is a non-super speedway race, so you have to consider there are only 5 spots in each duel in order to make the field. Andrew Gorman, one of those Copperhead Amateur Series regulars, trying to make that 5-car field as he is running 3rd right now, just behind Jack Porkins and Ryan Kendall, who are showing that this track can be a 2-lane track and trying to make both lines work here today. Gatlin Downey in the 17 car, showing Red Stallion has some speed as he's going to try and compete with his teammate Ryan Kendall. But ultimately, in the end, it was Kendall to take the win of the duel. And Downey will finish 2nd place, with Jack Porkins, who fired off great, will finish 3rd. G.J. Curtis for Fitzwater Australia Racing will scoot in there in the 4th position. And Dylan Parker for Smart Motorsports scores a 5th place. Andrew Gorman, Aidan Milliken, and Samantha Jones all on the outside looking in. The 5 cars that make it on out of the 33 in Duel 1 have been decided. But who will be the other 5 as we get ready for duel number 2? William Johnston in the number 02 car will take the green flag with Zach Rain on his outside, just behind a great start for Constantine Jameson for the Tip Foster Motorsports entry, and Eric Willis, another Penzel Pro Series regular that's looking to try to make a start here in the Copperhead Amateur Series. Notably, right away we saw Ryan Reed come down pit road unexpectedly. This team has been struggling all week, which is a complete contrast to what we saw at Daytona. Unfortunate, because they were one of the favorites coming in for Copperhead Amateur Series regulars, at least, because Eric Willis is in this duel, and he is always a threat whenever he makes Copperhead Amateur Series starts for the Rage Attack Racing team. But another driver that is showing a lot of strength is last year's runner-up in the points, Colin Denton for Vasquez Racing. A big motorsports entry in the Penzel Pro Series, but is looking to compete in some of the doubleheaders this year as he is looking to break inside that top 5 of the dual place here. But we're going to have a caution flag about halfway through the race with Cesar Chavez in the 88 car. He's going to go up into the wall and get clobbered by the 9 car, and he will slide up the track, the Kingsford car, and get clobbered again by even more cars coming by. TJ Smith, Jonathan King, another car also involved. I think that was DJ Reed making his first career start. Not good days for those back markers back there, as they're going to take a beating in the second duel. But we'll be able to go back green flag racing with William Johnston out front in the 02 car. Smart Motorsports already got one of their cars in the first duel, looking to have both of them secure their way in here in the second duel. Just behind the 68 car of Eric Willis, hounding him from behind, trying to be the number 1 car going into the duel, but it's not going to be easy. He's going to be able to get underneath the 02 car, but the 61 of Zach Rain is going to make his face known as well. Rain making his Copperhead Amateur Series debut this season, but is also a Penzel Pro Series regular on the opposite side. And he'll be able to hold on as he will take the second duel win, as William Johnson will line up 2nd place, securing the 1-2 for Smart Motorsports, with Eric Willis joining him, Colin Denton, and Matt Dunn for NS Racing sneaking his way in there in the last spot. But unfortunately, 27 drivers will go home, as will 60 others that did not make the feature event. But here we are at the feature event with 28 strong competitors, 18 full-time drivers, and the 10 that made it on from the duels. Let's see where they line up from here, as Kendall, after qualifying, will surprise the field and get the front row with Scott Roush, Galen Downey, Jack Porkins, and Robert Harrison rounding out the top 5. One thing to note about that top 5, 4 of the top 5 are Red Stallion Racing cars, showing that you might have to go through a whole bunch of dodges if you want to try to make an impact and get a race win here today up at the top of the field. Looking back from our pace car, here are your drivers with onboard cameras for today. Robert Harrison carrying the inboard, with Carter Friesen and Colin Denton on the roof cam today for this race. And we're just about set to get ready to go racing here. The car is rounding turn 4, the pace car ducking down onto pit road. It's been a long time since the series has been to an intermediate oval, but we are back, and green flag is in the air. Let's go racing at Atlanta. No surprise to see Ryan Kendall jump out to the lead, with Scott Roush falling in just behind. Red Stallion Racing has been good in years past, but with their qualifying efforts today, I'd say they are definitely a contender to win. Odds-on favorites for sure. But with Scott Roush behind, he is an even bigger odds-on favorite just because of how he made his explosive debut in the series last year at this very track, exploding out of the duels as a rookie and coming into the main event and showing everyone else up and securing his first victory. For sure was a huge storyline last year, but so far it's been all Carter Friesen, the Daytona winner, trying to claw his way through the pack right now, but is currently the #1 driver in the points right now and is looking to be on fire. We'll have to see how he deals with the intermediate track here today of Atlanta, but up in front, wasting no time, here comes Scott Roush in the 37 car, the Hitachi Dodge, going to the lead, passing his Pennzoil Pro Series teammate Ryan Kendall. And they are going to swap positions. Kendall did lose the lead in his duel, but he was able to get it back. We'll have to see how he recovers after losing the lead here in the main event. Another lap later, we see a couple of cars coming in the distance. The Blue Flare Motorsports entries of Jeffrey Finguy and John Arndt aren't especially looking strong here, as he has moved up the grid at a very quick pace. Behind him, Jack Porkins there in the 7 also hanging in. Starting to eat away almost at those Red Stallion Racing cars, at the front there. But how about Jeffrey Finguy looking very racy, going almost around the outside of that 16 car. Finguy was a bit of a sleeper last year. He's in his second full-time season in that 41 car in Season 5, but he's looking to make the most of it and definitely is looking to be improving. Here's one of our cars that was able to make it on from the duels, the 59 car of DJ Curtis. His second career duel start will result in him making the feature event. A great start for him and could lead to many things to come, as that 59 car is the first Fitzwater Australia Racing entry to make the duels, which is also a bit of surprise, but we'll see how he does here today in the main 28 car field. Jake Baskinger in the 83 car for Push to Pass Motorsports, leading the underdog teams on at a solid performance at Daytona, but I think what was more telling of his practice and qualifying speeds, showing that this little upstart team does have something to bring to the table, and you can see him running in the mid-pack right now, looking very strong. Hopefully he can keep that speed up the rest of the race too. Looking at the 5 car, the Avalon Motorsports entry of Nicholas Wade had a great day at Daytona as well, and came out as the second place driver in points, and is looking pretty strong so far, running behind your Daytona 500 winner and the eventual points leader. But running about mid-pack right now in that 5 car, looking to try to make up some more spots. You see Friesen has actually clawed his way relatively far up the running order so far and is looking strong as well. But at the front, Finguy has taken over the second place position, but Kendall is sure not letting him get away, that's for sure, as he is all over the back of that 41 Starbucks Toyota. Just behind, I see Vinny Wiese also coming into the picture, trying to take over John Arndt's 4th position. Behind Arndt, you see Gatlin Downey and Robert Harrison, who have fallen back just a little bit from the start. Still running top 10, so they're still running pretty strong here early on in the race, but not as dominant as we saw in the qualifying sessions. We'll have to see if they maybe can turn that around later in the race here. Colin Denton riding on board for the Chevrolet Camera. Started inside the top 10 and has hung around in the early stages of the race, but just sticking in there, waiting to see if anything happens. Denton is trying to go for the part-time points championship for Vasquez Racing. Probably won't get it because he is a Penzo Pro Series regular, and I mean, if he can make enough points in 6 races and win, that'll be something to behold. But so far, he is 2 for 2 on making it through the duels. It's a possibility, but right now, just running to try to get Vasquez Racing some good results and even some sponsorship attention. Just behind them, you see the 61 car running pretty deep in the field. Zach Rain made it through the duels in the first spot, was your second duel winner. Not doing too well in the main event, though, in contrast to his 2 teammates who are running up front, doing very strong right now. Just behind him, we see a couple full-timers that are also struggling. Castle Radcliffe in the Tank Motorsports Chevrolet. Isaac Nichols in the 90 is a surprising one, as that team was expected to take off this year. Just not happening so far. It looks like Tanya Breyer in the 38. The 40 of Dylan Membrilla, also kind of a bit of a surprise. And the 51 back there, Roger Ray. We saw the part-time program do so well at Daytona. It's surprising not to see them doing better here today. Obviously, though, we did see their part-time program fall apart on the first lap of the second duel. Up at the front, here comes the 41 car. Jeffrey Finguy making a very strong approach and trying to take over the lead. He'll get it. Scott Roush going back to second place. John Arndt also moving up, passing Ryan Kendall in the 16. And suddenly the hands are shifting from Red Stallion Racing to Blue Flare Motorsports, as they have started to come alive. And they took them 22 laps, but they have always been there at the front in the top 5, and now they are in control of the race. Halfway through the field, there's the running order as the cars fly by. Still pretty grouped up, but also spread out at the same time. Still a lot of racing left to go and see who can claw their way up to the front and who still has something left in the back of the tank. Here's the 98 car, dead last of the field, but still making the field is a good accomplishment for this team. NS Racing wasn't even expected to really make the field at the beginning of the year, but they have shown a lot of progress in just 2 races as an organization. And Matt Dunn is an experienced racer and looking to try to help propel the team to greater heights. Here's the 1 car, Kenny Washington, as well, looking at him making his way up through the field for Jay Barker Motorsports. Just in front of him, 2 cars ahead, is Vinny Weiss. Jay Barker Motorsports could be a 3rd team to come into the play here today and maybe try to contend for the win. Out at the front, though, John Arndt is really starting to pull off some quick laps, and he was able to get by Scott Roush, and now is going after his teammate. Arndt had expressed in the past that he was just looking for a solid ride, put everything on the line for him to try to get a top-tier ride, and what better equipment than in Blue Flare Motorsports stuff, and that Zaxby's Toyota is going to the front. This team was the team that went and won the championship last year with Meritab Zrischel. She has since moved on to the Penzo Pro Series, and right now it looks like John Arndt could very easily follow in her footsteps. And riding on board, Robert Harrison, as pit stops are finally underway. Lap 32 will be the first lap. We see people come down. It'll be a 1-stop race, and the 99 car pulling upside the 27 of Vinny Weiss. And with only 33 laps on the board, that is about 15 to go. It'll be interesting. Maybe we see some 2-tire stops. It'll be a long run for sure, but maybe try to get some track position, get the clean air, see if that is able to help bring your car out to a more competitive level instead of running in the back deep in traffic. We'll have to see if there's any strategy played here. But out of the pits, it looks like the 41 car of Finguy will be the first one out, along with Weiss. He's following just behind. And a bunch of cars coming down pit road. It looks like everyone else was able to come down the second time around, so they had that window down pretty down pat, as we see the 41 car coming around the outside. There's the 14 of Carter Friesen. Looks like he had a good pit stop. But out front, it's John Arndt with a huge lead. Coming in the second lap seems to have worked out for him. And if he can hold that off, he's looking to be in a very good spot. We mentioned Carter Friesen in the 14 car with a great pit stop, and that's almost an understatement. He's out in the 4th position in that RockShox Ford. Just behind him, see Colin Denton in the 5th spot, also moving up through the field, and Kenny Washington doing very strong as well in the 6th position. Scott Roush in the 37 car is falling back, as well as Ryan Kendall. Red Stallion Racing, after the pit stops, just not as good as they were. And it seems like this race, they've just been losing control more and more, and now are slowly slipping out of the top 10 almost. Completely out of the top 5 at this point. But Scott Roush looking to try to break back in here with Kenny Washington. The Chevrolet's coming alive. First it was Dodges, then the Toyotas showed some strength, and now it is the Chevys coming alive. And definitely, in true Copperhead Amateur Series fashion, we have a bunch of teams that can compete. And it looks like the Chevys are now the ones to show their heads, as the 27 car has caught John Arndt. But so has the 41 of Jeffrey Finguy and the Starbucks Toyota, and it is a 3-car dogfight for the win. And here comes Vinny Vease on the inside. The Austin Chevrolet getting to go full-time this season as compared to a full-time part-time campaign last year, with mostly just being 5 cars making it through each duel. He did miss a lot of races, but showed speed in each race he entered, and now getting to show off what he is capable of if he doesn't have to qualify his way in every single race. Here's the 81. You see him, he has slipped back to second, but is still going after the 27 car. And we could come down here to the wire in terms of who is going to get home with the checkered flag. Vinny Vease able to hold it on the outside line. You have to be able to be side by side with a driver you're trying to pass down the backstretch if you want to have a shot at making it in turn 3. But that outside line is so powerful in turns 1 and 2. And if you can hold it up there, you can stay in the running of this and be able to keep yourself in contention and ward off a potential guy trying to pass you. Looking behind, the 64 car getting by the 16 of Kendall. Here's a bunch of part-timers, actually, if you look, all trying to make something out of their days and all running inside the top 10. Not too bad for a part-timer making the field. That's a lot of points going their way. But for Carter Friesen, a lot of points going his way as well to the current points leader, and he's going to look like he might actually extend his points lead after today. And running 4th place, that is a great place to be. 2 top 5s to start off the season, and Carter Friesen really cementing himself right now as a championship favorite, as he came from deep in the field to be where he is right now. But the 27 car with 2 laps to go is holding off the 2 Blue Flare Motorsports cars behind him. They're going to have one more shot here as we come to take the white flag here today. One more lap at Atlanta to settle it all. For Vinny Vease and Jay Barker Motorsports, it took about 2/3 of the race to go by before those Chevys started to take off in terms of performance. And coupled with a great pit stop, it looks like they have gotten him out front and in the ideal position to take this victory. Going down into turn 3, the car's sticking perfectly in line for him, and the Toyota's just having nothing to show for it. But it's not going to be enough for them. Checkered flag is waving, and Vinny Vease will take home the 2nd checkered flag of the year, and he will be your Equifax 250 winner at Atlanta. And a great race altogether. A bunch of comers and goers and a lot of competition all day long. But it comes down to the 27 car being the one on top at the end of the race. Just goes to show you never know who's going to win until the checkered flag. Here are your finishing results with Vease on top. John Arndt will finish a solid 2nd place with Finguy in 3rd. That's a great showing for Blue Flare Motorsports and will push their team up the board in points. Carter Friesen, though, will likely be the points leader exiting this weekend. Scott Roush will finish inside the top 5 to end what could have been a better day for Red Stallion Racing. Looking down through the latter half of the field with Dylan Parker, Matt Dunn, 2 part-timers at the bottom there. But also some other drivers who look to have some better runs here today, such as the Smart Motorsports car of Elijah Gordon in the 44. Here are your point standings after race 2. Carter Friesen does maintain his top spot. 7th behind is John Arndt, and then Scott Roush finding himself in the 3rd position, 21 back. And there is your part-timer points with Colin Denson sitting on top with 45. Ryan Reed missing the show will fall back to 2nd, 4 points behind. Well, it was an exciting race for the Copperhead Amateur Series, but we'll see more of that next week when we go to Bristol for the 3rd doubleheader. But we're not done at Atlanta. The Pennzoil Pro Series will be back next week. We'll see you then.